Right, so this space that's down here, as you can see, ugliest thing in the world. These were made when I very first started doing the woodwork thing and are incredibly badly made, but otherwise it's just chaos. So today we're going to sort that out. Hi, I'm Dean. Welcome back to Woodwork Journey. Finally got a build going on. I've almost forgotten how to do the recording. Anyway, so you just saw the space under my desk, or under my workbench rather, that needs some level of organisation. Now this up here is also kind of all to do with that level of organisation. This is just absolute chaos. So I'm hoping that I can make some storage under here that will take care of at least some of that nonsense, and so we can move forward with a little bit more organisation. Now I've done a mission statement, let me show you. So right here we've got the purpose. Now if I did this sort of thing, then I figured it would keep me on track for what I was hoping to achieve, and yeah, that's what we're hoping to achieve. This is a rough idea of the bench. This is a rough idea of the space that I've got. And yeah, now my good friend David has given me some MDF to play with, which is all over here. And I've got different size bits and all sorts of stuff. But what I have done is I've figured out that I can probably make a funky cabinet. I have kind of put together a basic idea of what I'm trying to achieve, and I will show you there, because as far as I've got so far in true Woodwork Journey style, all I've thought about is the outside carcass. I have no idea how I'm going to do the insides, and I don't have any posh drawer runners or anything like that. So yeah, it could be interesting. Right, so because I've got 840mm by 480mm, I've just kind of laid out this stuff, or this MDF melamine stuff that I've got at the moment. Thanks again for that, David. That's much appreciated if you see this. So I've got a rough idea laid out of how this is going to work. As you can see, nothing is cut to size. These are just the random bits of scrap and offcuts that he had. So this, I think, is the process that I'm going to go with. Now, what I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm going to use dowels in order to be able to dry fit everything together, because at the moment I've not figured out exactly what the insides are going to look like and all that sort of stuff. And also I'm thinking that because I don't have any posh hardware and all that sort of nonsense, I may have to take these sides out so I can route through there, so I can have some sort of runners for the drawers. Otherwise I'll have to stick the runners on the outside and the drawers can go against that. So I'm not entirely sure which way I'm going to do it yet. So I think for that reason I'm going to do it kind of a bit at a time. Now also, because I'm a mega planner, not only have I've got pretty much more or less, this is just about it, but that's going to go in the middle there, so we can sort of imagine that. I don't think that's the right size, is it? No, so we can imagine that being in the middle, and what I want to achieve is having kind of quite thin drawers going on here. So I've got sort of three relatively thin drawers and then one larger one at the bottom, and that way I can that should be able to cope with my organisation of everything a little bit easier. Ideally it would be great to then sort of fit them out with the Kaizen foam stuff, so you can carve out things so you know if you lose things, but let's put one thing at a time. So yeah, this is the idea that I'm going with. The carcass is going to be the first thing to worry about, and like I say, I'm going to use dovetails, and we'll just get this going. I'm putting the top and the bottom, I'm sandwiching the sides because that gives me just a little bit extra height. I have, as you can see, a gap going on here. I might have an offcut that I can fit in that gap, so that'll be good. But yeah, right, I best get cutting. I've got no idea how this is going to turn out. Rather than measuring things and giving myself more opportunities to cock things up, I am actually going to try and oh dear. So, as I was saying before things went somewhat chaotic, what I'm doing is, rather than giving myself the opportunity to mess things up with bad measurements. What I'm hoping to achieve by doing this is kind of just getting it all in place, more or less, and then I can mark on the actual unit with a pencil and say, right, well, I want that bit there, that bit there. Then I get my speed square out, I mark it all up as lines, and we take it from there. I think, you know, who needs measurements? What I'm doing as well is kind of eyeballing it between sort of the hole as well. So I'm getting an idea of the size without measuring. Ropey bastard. What I'm wondering as well is, to make things easier to assemble, should I rabbet the base just for the side panels? But I think that's possibly overkill. I think just glue, dowels and screws should do the trick. If you build in this kind of haphazard style, please do let me know in the comments and make me know that I'm not alone in being this dodgy. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use a circular saw. That should make it easy for anybody else having a crack. Right, so one thing I am going to do is I'm going to measure from the blade to the edge of this, which is 35 mil, I believe, something like that. And that's going to help me understand where to put my straight edge. Okay, let's get cutting. And that's that. So all I've got to do now is do the rest of them, and we'll see how we're getting things together next. Could have been worse, could have been better. See, already we've got some slight design changes. So I've cut the main basic 4 sides for the Carcass. We've got a step in on the front of this, on the top and the bottom, because that step might be okay if I choose to use this stuff as the drawer fronts. That should sort of pretty much take that up and look like that, which would be quite good and quite tidy for a change. So it's also, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to save MDF so I can use more for the drawers. And I've got this old bit of ply that I did have on the back of my old table saw fence that I took apart. And so I think I can cut what I need to cut off of that, which will work as the rear. So that should be quite good. So I think what I'm going to do now is get to doweling these bad boys so we can start dry fitting it and seeing where we go, because I still don't know what I'm going to do about the sides. So to do the dowels, I'm going to use one of these cheap old Wolfcraft affairs. I got this ages ago off Amazon, and it does 8, 10 and 6 mil dowels. I'm going to go with 8 mil because, I don't know, it looks right. I'm just going to check that I'm measuring it in the right place, because you've got to sort of twist it the right way to make sure you're in the middle, and yeah, that looks about right. So let's get an 8 mil drill bit. Got no idea how far I'm going to drill down, so I don't know, there, I'll put a bit of tape on that right about there. I've got no idea at what point my microphone fell off. Hopefully it's working and you can hear me okay. Don't know what was happening just on that last bit, but we'll worry about that later. That's what editing Dean's problem's all about. So what I've done there, that outer line is as wide as the MDF is, which is about 18 mil. So at around about the 9 mil mark, I've done a line that goes all the way through. And the reason for that is because if we get the board that we just put holes in, and we get some 8 mil dowels to go in there, then we figure out which is the outer and which is the inner side of this piece. We're then going to set this guard right here to be, because there's a line. I don't know if you can see that, but right through there is a line, and there's also a little indicator on the side there and there as well. So what we want to do is push that blue indicator line exactly where we want it, and we tighten that down. And now hopefully that's going to be smack bang in the middle of that. So what we're going to do is the back needs to be equal there. Then we can move that up. And as long as we've got the sides lined up, so everything's going to be square to one another, it should be all gravy. Right, let's get these drilled and see what's what. Okay, now the moment of truth. Are they going to line up? Just move that camera back. I'll try and do it all in one shot so you can see there's no camera trickery or nonsense going on. I think it's going to, you know. Look at that. And while we're not quite flush at the back there, it's certainly not horrific. Hey, that's not too shabby, that. Right, we'll do the rest of them so we can get everything together. I know I could have inset the back of the thing inside this so the sides could have come in a little bit, but I want to get the maximum depth. So I'm going to put the plywood right up against the outside of the rear of it and then screw that directly in. Right, I'm now going to do the rest in exactly the same way, and then we'll come back when we've got a bit of a carcass happening. Alrighty, so that is the cabinet doweled. It's a little bit wobbly, but I don't want to put the back. Do I want to put the back on? I think I might screw the back on, and then I can start planning out the drawers, I think. But who knows? Definitely doesn't help that the wood that I'm cutting certainly isn't straight. Let's just bang a square in the corners and see where we're at. Right, so that's about right there. So all I've got to do now is if I draw around the outside, as long as I'm close, I can use a flush trim bit on the router. Okay, I'll take this out to the chop saw and see what we can do. So I haven't put any glue on this yet, but I thought, genius Dean, what you can do is if you put corners and clamp corners to the end of everything, or to each inside corner, then it would remain square, so you can just throw on the back and that'll be all right. I did not think it through because now I can't lift it up to put the back on because there's clamps in the way.